Welcome back to one of the shows on the internet that talks about stuff about music and if it's good or not.
Have we been downgraded? Because normally you preface that by saying we're the best or something.
Well, it's come to my attention that there's also other ones out there.
But we're better.
That's true, we are better. We'll stick with that then. The best show on the internet where we talk about music. Usually new music. Every now we dip into the old stuff, but today we're sticking with the new. Oh, the name of the show is Music Is It Good Though?
Yeah.
And yeah, before we discuss the album of this week, what have you been listening to since we last rendezvoused?
I've been listening to a fair bit of stuff. Like up until a few days ago, I thought when you asked me this question, I'd be like, yeah, I've not listened to anything. But over the last couple of days, I've been listening to... Have you ever heard of Muna?
No.
M-U-N-A. So they're... I don't know what you class them as. It's like electro pop, indie rock. How about you?
Lots of... I know I sent you a picture the other day, but the new... Well, I say new, the reissue of one of the Eels albums, Blinking Lights and Other Revolutions. Yeah, just lots of that since it came out. Did you just fart because the couch shook? The more kind of melancholic side of Eels, which is what I tend to like more than the rockier stuff. Bringing us to this week's album, hot off the press, it's the new Ed Sheeran album called Minus. I stole your line, it's you that says that?
I know. Well, I don't want to put any effort into this one. So
Any preconceptions of Big Ed?
yeah, awful.
Okay.
Just music for the masses, isn't it? Just crap. I'd heard Perfect. Is that a song by him? Is that the name of it?
It rings a bell. I can't think how that one goes, but I'm sure he has got one called that.
And Shape of You.
Yes.
And he also did one called Galway Girl.
Yes.
But apparently everyone criticised him for sounding or trying to culturally appropriate being Irish.
Okay.
And I think he does the same here.
The last song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, never really wanted to listen to an Ed Sheeran album. I put him as the male equivalent of Taylor Swift.
One of the songwriters that works with them is the same person, Aaron Dessner, I think his name is. So yeah, he's worked, most of the songs on this were written by Ed Sheeran and Aaron Dessner. And when I was looking into Aaron Dessner to see who he was, because his name kept popping up, that he's worked with Taylor Swift a lot, he fronted a band called The National.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of them, but he's
I've heard of them.
one of the songwriters that does a lot with Ed and Tay-Tay.
Yeah, how about you? What's your impression of him?
I remember when 18 came out. Do you know that song?
No.
They say she's in the class 18, stuck in her daydream. No. Oh, well, that was like one of the first songs that got big by him, and I quite enjoyed that song when it very initial impression of him. It's basically about a girl who's on class A drugs, and that's where 18 comes from.
I thought you said 18.
Right, no,
Right.
18.
I haven't heard it anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah.
So, I did like that song. I thought it was kind of very acoustic, quite folky, I guess, and about something different. Like, it's not just a love song, it's like there's the dark themes within it as well, and I thought that's quite interesting. I think, as far as I'm aware, that was off his first album, and I've yet to hear another song that I enjoyed by him. So, liked the first thing that I heard, and then have been consistently let down thereafter, is my impression. And like I said, that was very acoustic. There's been some songs like the ones that you've mentioned, Shape of You, where he's gone a lot more poppy, even sometimes described as like hip-hop pop or hip-hop.
Well, I'm sure I've heard him he's meant to have incorporated grime elements into his music or something.
Yeah,
I remember there was a thing with Stormzy where Stormzy was like, stay in your lane, essentially.
Yeah.
It might not have been him, but I'm sure it was someone like that.
Yeah, so I don't like when he does that more sort of stuff. Like when we've said before, sometimes there's like Jethro Tull, where he was sort of singing, sort of speaking. When he does that, he's sort of rapping, but not quite, because he's still sort of singing.
It's white rapping it.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's ultimately my preconceptions of him. Like the first thing that I heard, and have not liked anything since. Coming to this album, what did you make of it?
Garbage.
Yeah.
Awful. Yeah. I've listened to it in full once, and I was like, why did I even bother? Because all the songs sound pretty much the same. I hate that thing that I don't know if it's just him or a lot of modern artists do, where they do ay, ay, ay. Like, they'll just repeat the same thing. It's like, that's not good.
Yeah.
Anyone can do that.
That is one of the things I was planning to comment on today.
So lowest common denominator. I don't know if it's just him or all that kind of person. Because when I was listening to this in the car, what was his name now? Shawn Mendes. Mm-hmm. Something about Stitches, I think he's got a song. I think that was the name of it. And I'm pretty sure he did the exact same thing. So it was like, is this a genre why they just repeat the end of it? Like, repeat one word in the name of the title?
Yeah.
Oh, God, it was awful.
It was strange because, like, when I've been looking at who's been writing these songs, like, I might have missed something, but I think that's the one song where, have you heard of the songwriter Max Miller?
No.
He's, like, 90% of pop songs that have got big, he had a hand in that. He's a really, really big pop songwriter, Swedish guy. And that's the one song that he was one of the writers on. And I was like, this is one of my least favourite songs on the album. And it's one of the most prolific songwriters that did this. And completely agree with what you were going to say. I was going to comment on the ayes, because there's no need. And it's just, shut up. You're just filling out the length of like a line, but you've not got no lyrics for it. So it's just...
It's like when like Ariana Grande and people like that do like the vocal warbling exercises.
But even like, I also don't like that wobbling stuff. But that's, I guess, showmanship of what your vocals can do. Whereas I. Like that's, yeah.
Just unimaginative. Well, like the lyrics in this as well. Like I can't even. I've only listened to it in full once because I just didn't want to put myself through the torture. I've listened to about 4 songs at a time twice.
Okay.
I was like, oh, why? It's just awful. It's just same kind of thing over and over again, isn't it? I don't know if you agree, but
mostly I agree. Yeah, it wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be. I thought that it was going to be a lot worse. Not to say that. There are songs on it that I thought were okay. Most of the songs I didn't really like, but there were bits of it that I thought, okay, this is a bit more interesting. There's a song called Sycamore towards the end. Did you not like that one then? No? I thought that one was a bit more interesting just because it messes around with the timings. It's not as formulaic pop as a lot of the other stuff. I thought it was quite strange. How have you seen recently, like the Marvin Gaye estate has been suing him?
Yeah.
Because they said that those 2 songs are too similar. Thinking Out Loud by Ed Sheeran and Let's Get It On by Marvin Gaye. Right. I don't think that they are similar enough that he should be paying out. I don't like Thinking Out Loud. But one of the songs on this, I believe it was Life Goes On, I might be wrong about that, is almost identical to Free Falling by Tom Petty. And I'm like, learn your lesson here. The guitar is doing that. Da, 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 da. I mean, Tom Petty is dead, I believe, is he?
Is.
Yeah, so he's not going to be suing him, but it's a state, mate.
Yeah. There's a part in Shape of You where he does some weird, like, vocal thing.
Yes, I have seen that. It's that
Yeah, so they sued him for that.
Yeah.
I don't think that was successful.
I mean, the thing is with this stuff is because it is so generic pop, it's going to sound similar to a lot of other stuff because it's so formulaic.
Yeah.
Have you come across, I'm probably showing you it myself at some point, there's a video on YouTube which is just the 4-chord song where it's The Axis of Awesome is the band and they're just playing these same 4 chords and they sing about 50 songs over it. Like, if we were to go down that road of like, oh well, that's the same as this song, you could probably say, okay, so Marvin Gaye's estate has sued him for Let's Get It On. You could probably say, well, this song that came out 10 years before Let's Get It On also uses those chords. So
yeah,
like it's
there's
generic
a limited
pop.
amount of things, isn't there?
There is, but when you're doing pop, that limit is much
small.
Yeah. Like I said, there were a couple of songs that I didn't mind. I didn't mind Sycamore. I didn't mind Dusty because that one seemed like it could be I was going to say B-side, more like a C-side Gorillaz song.
Did you think?
Yeah, it was more...
Was it like Drop a Needle on Dusty or something?
Yeah, that
one.
one.
About a record.
Yeah. But like the music of it was kind of more synthy, I guess. Other than that, I didn't mind the first 2 songs where it just seemed like... It was a bit misleading because they both seemed to be about being on a boat. And I thought, is this going to be a concept album or like what's happening here? But then the next song on it's that ay 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 ay. So I was like, okay then.
That's one of the worst things I've heard.
Yeah, this could have been interesting. It could have been a whole album about Ed on a boat.
Yeah.
But
Even then.
were there any songs at all that you liked on it or that were okay?
They didn't offend me,
Yeah.
but they were so boring and, like you say, unimaginative. Because I've read reviews of this album, and apparently this is even unimaginative for an Ed Sheeran album.
Is that?
Yeah, they said
I've not
that
read
he
any of the
don't
albums.
stay, like the apple don't fall far from the Ed Sheeran tree
Right.
on this album. But they like the fact that he had melancholic lyrics. I'm sure, like all these songs seem
It's
quite
definitely
like
do.
that.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, so yeah, nothing I liked, nothing I hated, but it was just an absolute non-event.
Yeah, it's all just radio pop.
Yeah,
I agree there's no songs that I hated. I wouldn't go as far as to say there were songs that I really liked, but the ones that I've mentioned I thought were okay. Nothing, no real highlights for the album. Maybe I would say Dusty's a bit of a highlight. But
and unfortunately they still sell out stadiums.
yeah, it's once again us realising that the things that we like, nobody else does. And then the things that the world likes, we just don't get it.
No, I don't get it at all.
Yeah, but there we are, and that's that. Putting a number on it then, what would you give it out of 10?
1.
Okay.
Just because, like, music has to leave some sort of impression on you, and this left none. I can't even remember most of the songs, apart from that Eyes one. And
Yeah.
that's only because it
Wound you up.
frustrated me.
Yeah. I would give it like a 3. I was going to say 4, but I think I'm being too generous there. There's bits of it that are okay. There's lots of it that's just completely forgettable. Therefore, on the lower side, it's not the worst thing in the world that I've heard, but it's not great.
No, it's not great at all.
Yeah. So that would bring us to an average of 2 out of 10 for this new album that's going to sell out stadiums everywhere. And we just don't get it, but that's where we are.
I'm pretty sure it's Taylor Swift then did that at 2 as well, so...
Well, there we go then. At least we're consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tune in next week where we'll be listening to this album at the top of the screen. And in the meantime, have a lovely day. Before we go, how many subscribers did we have last time? Can you remember?
Last time I checked it was 56.
57 now.
Well, thanks.
Yeah. Welcome to the gang and have a lovely day.
Bye-bye.
See you on the flip side.